My name is Suman Mariappa, and I'm a product marketing manager here at Apple for Keynote. So today I'm going to be talking for the next 20 minutes or so about Keynote, and I'm going to be walking through our standard sales presentation, which includes some slides on some of the output for Keynote, as well as how to create some of the slides for Keynote and highlighting some of our key features. So just to give you an overview, Keynote is a presentation application that's available today for $99. And I'm really excited to say we've had a lot of really positive feedback from both customers and the press, such as Forbes and New York Times. So the product's been selling very well. So let's talk a little bit about how to sell Keynote. Here are a few sample slides, but most of the customers who would be interested in Keynote are going to be pretty familiar with PowerPoint, either on a Mac or on a Windows. Some of these Windows customers may be interested in making a switch over to the Mac. In this case, you really want to point out what makes Keynote different. Rather than matching PowerPoint feature to feature, Keynote is an innovative way of creating presentations made easy for everyone. So this includes professional themes with coordinated colors, textures, fonts, tables, and charts, transitions such as 3D cubes, mosaic, 3D flip, cinema quality output, which produces excellent playback whether on screen, when projected, or when exported at QuickTime, and our alignment guides that speed up the placement of elements in your slides. It's also important to point out that Keynote is compatible with PowerPoint, both on import and export. So you can export to QuickTime, which makes it possible to view Keynote presentations on a Windows PC. Now you're also going to have a smaller set of customers who may be unfamiliar or relatively new to PowerPoint, but still have a need for maybe editing some of their presentations that were created for them by their IT or their corporate department. And this is pretty common if they've got a standard template with their corporate identity or their own brand. So here's really where you want to talk about how to stress that Keynote is easy to use and makes it possible for everyone to create and edit presentations that look great. So you don't have to spend as much time editing or creating and designing your presentations. You can focus more on your ideas rather than on your design. So when your presentation really counts, you want to stress that Keynote is the application to use. And before we get into some of the high-level features for Keynote, I want to talk a little bit about who this product is really targeted for, because it can really be targeted at several different verticals, since Keynote is aimed at anybody who has presentation needs. But I'd say it's probably most useful for small businesses or independents who need to create presentations to sell their products or services, and also for the creative professionals who can use it either as a presentation tool or to customize and sell to their own customers. The goal for Keynote was to provide users with a presentation tool that makes it easy for everyone to be able to create really stunning, professional-looking presentations that look like they were produced by a professional graphics team. The other point I want to make is Keynote is the first application that really takes full advantage of Mac OS X Jaguar and OpenGL. That's why we really get these beautiful 3D transitions, graphics, text compositing, and dynamic alignment guides. So clearly Keynote is the first ever application of its kind. Anyone who's ever had to create a presentation has been waiting for a product like this. So let's begin. As I mentioned, we ship with 12 Apple design themes. Each of the themes, which are included within the master slides, have coordinated layouts, colors, fonts, charts, and tables. And you can import your existing PowerPoint presentations and apply one of these themes, so you don't have to start from scratch. All of the themes can be changed and edited, and you can create themes from scratch and share them with others. Here's a few sample themes. This is our sandstone, blackboard, notebook, and parchment paper. Now, I also want to point out we've actually had several sites already today that have themes, their own version of Keynote themes posted and available for download. So you can look at Keynote HQ and several other user communities that are out there that have already posted their own versions of these themes. It's also important to point out that creating charts and tables is very easy with Keynote. Most presentations have some kind of visual representation of their data, but creating charts and tables is not always easy. Well, we made that very easy within Keynote, and your charts and tables automatically match the tone of your presentation or your theme. We've got 8 flexible chart types. Each of those charts include tables and animated chart builds. And you can also copy data directly from a spreadsheet, but you can also enter data yourself. So if you've got numbers, let's say in Excel, you can copy and paste those numbers directly from Excel right into Keynote, and your chart or table will automatically update. And I'll show you this a little bit in the demo. Here's a standard table that we've got in the Parchment, or excuse me, the Sandstone theme. And here's a common pie chart in Parchment. Now, the reason our themes look so good is because Keynote takes full advantage of Mac OS X Jaguar's graphics compositing engine called Quartz. That's why you really get beautiful and clear typography and anti-alias text and images. It's also the reason we include precision alignment guides and professional quality resizing and image rotation. Keynote also enables transparency, so you can pull in graphics from Photoshop and you can add additional special effects within our application like shadows and transparency, so that it really allows you a lot of flexibility within the application. And of course you can add animated object builds to help set the pace of your presentation. So transitions. We really enable some stunning transitions within Keynote, like that flip transition that you just saw. We've also got small mosaic, large mosaic, and three-dimensional cubes. These transitions are enabled because Keynote takes full advantage of OpenGL. Now I'm going to actually jump out of the slides and go into the application, because I've been showing you Keynote using Keynote, and I'm going to create a few sample slides and show you how easy it is. So I'm going to show you how easy it is to create a few sample slides. And as I just mentioned, I escaped out of this presentation, and this is the interface for Keynote. So right away you see the simplicity of the application. Most of the functionality that you need is available right here on the toolbar. So if I select the Themes button, here are the 12 themes the Keynote ships with. Any of these themes can be edited, and you can also create themes from scratch and add them to this theme library, and they're available in this window. You can also choose your presentation size. My view options here, I'm in the navigator view, which are the thumbnails that you see to the left, but I can also select the outline view to see all the text on my slides. I can also select my option to show notes, my slide only, or even just view my masters. And here are all the different master slides that are included for this particular theme. Now if I go over here there's a nice way to see your entire presentation at a glance. So I've got thumbnails of all of my different slides here organized for me in these convenient hierarchies. Now if I grab any of these slides and either hit the tab key or just move them over, I get automatic indentation of all my slides. So this is particularly helpful if you have a large presentation and you want to organize your slide by, say, topic, or maybe you have multiple presentations that you want to include within one Keynote project. I just grab and can move it back over. Okay, so I'm going to now create a slide, and right away you'll notice the typography of this slide. Look at the clarity of the text, and as I mentioned earlier, because it's anti-aliased, when I resize it, it still retains the quality of the output. So I'm going to grab this Monarch text box and I'm going to move it to the center of the slide. Now watch what happens when I grab the text and move it. The dynamic alignment guides automatically appear, so these yellow lines that you're seeing on the slide tell me that this is the exact center of my slide, and when I let go of the mouse, it snaps to place. So Keynote ships with what we call dynamic alignment guides, and those alignment guides are set at the master level. So the master slides that you see when I drag down here can include my own custom rulers just by grabbing from the rulers. Okay, now what I'm going to do here on this slide is create a layered effect. So I want to grab two images from, say, Photoshop. So I'm going to downsize here and I'm going to pull in the butterfly and a magnifying glass. And the butterfly image I have here was created in Photoshop, and it's got alpha channels. So I'm going to just copy that, go back here, and paste it. Now notice what happens. As I mentioned, these were created in Photoshop. This particular image was created and saved as a PSD file, and because it has an alpha channel associated with it, notice how Keynote respects the alpha channel and you don't see that white box around this image. Same works for TIFF files. So this TIFF file was actually created with transparency, and when I include it in Keynote by copying and pasting, we respect that transparency. I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller. Now, what I have here basically are three layered objects. I've got a text box and two images. Now, look at the effects that I can add to these particular images. When I launch the inspector, so first of all, I want to go over to the graphics window and I want to lower the opacity. Now look what happens to my butterfly just by lowering the opacity. So you can add some really interesting effects within Keynote that you don't necessarily have to add in Photoshop, and they're retained and respected within Keynote. I could also add shadowing as well. Now for the magnifying glass, notice it's set at 100%, but because I added transparency in Photoshop, that transparency is retained and respected within Keynote. Pretty nice. Now I'm going to actually move this aside here, and when I grab the handler, if I hold my command key, I can shift the magnifying glass and rotate a little bit and move it to the center. And I want this magnifying glass and butterfly to appear as a build. So if I go over to the build inspector, I can set each of these layers to appear as a build. So if I want the magnifying glass to appear, let's say, as dissolve, and I get a little preview here, and then I want the butterfly to appear as a flip, and I want this to appear first, I can play this, and look at that. Very simple, on-the-fly compositing that you can create within Keynote. So with Keynote, creating tables and charts is really very simple. With just one click, if I go up here to the table button on the toolbar and select it, I get a table that's added, in this case to the parchment theme, with my table inspector features shown. So I can, let's say, increase the number of rows, increase the number of columns, and what's really nice is, and there's other properties that you can add down here, but if I want to include, let's say, a digital image, I can copy that directly into this table and it will automatically fit within my cell. So if I go up here to the image library, and I'm going to select from the objects library. Now you can pull in any kind of digital image that you may have, say in iPhoto or in your own library, but Keynote also ships with over 100 digital images, so clip art. So we can basically grab one of Keynote's from the image library here and paste it directly into the cell. Now look what happens when I just control paste. It's automatically sized to fit within my table cells, which is really nice. If I close the table inspector and type in some text, my text automatically matches the look and feel of this parchment theme. So building really nice looking tables is very easy within Keynote. And another nice effect is I can hide the border here and create some pretty interesting effects with images and text on my same slide. Same for charts. Go up here, and if I select within one click my chart button, I've got a chart data editor and my chart inspector available for me. Now, as I mentioned earlier, you can either copy and paste numbers from Excel right into this chart data editor, or you can enter numbers directly. Now, watch what happens when I type in, let's say, a different number. My chart automatically updates to reflect those new numbers. I'm actually going to close out of these two windows and change my chart type to, say, line, or maybe even pie. So I can really create some stunning slides with accurate chart data very easily, and when my numbers change, say in Excel or within Keynote, I can update those numbers in my pie chart, or any of my charts will automatically update. There's a lot of really great chart properties within the chart inspector if you go over here to axes or series, but and you can hide legend, but creating nice looking charts is very easy within Keynote. Now let's say you want to include a digital image in your slide. That's pretty common. You probably have several types of images that you want to include. In this case, I'm looking at the Blackboard theme, but I've got what we call a photo cutout master. As I mentioned earlier, when you slide this little knob down here, you've got a view of all the different kinds of masters that could be included in your presentation. And masters are really the layout of your slide. And in this case, this is the Blackboard theme with the photo cutout master. So I'm going to select from, again, the image library, but I could pull in from, let's say, one of my own libraries or from iPhoto. And I'm going to open up pictures.key and grab a building image. So when I select this, I need to copy and paste. And I can move this image and see the alignment guides showing up, but when I select the back button on the toolbar, watch what happens. This photo image is automatically fit within my photo cutout, and because of the nice quartz technology that we have, I can grab this image and let's say move it around. Let's say I like the sky view, and get just the right image and right view of my photo cutout. So it's very easy. And also notice that the properties of this theme really handle the photo very well, like the scotch tape effect and the texture background. Now this is a common agenda slide. You've got bullet points. In this case, it's the notebook theme. So you've got the spiral look here, and you've got bullets that look like a nice notebook. Now I'm going to add a line of text. And let's say my last bullet exceeds the first line. And when I launch the inspector, there's some really neat text features that you can incorporate using Keynote. So if I go over to the text inspector and select one of my sliders here, I can adjust the character and line spacing directly from this inspector window so that I get just the right effect. And maybe I want to adjust my bullets, or I can enter numeric values. But this is really nice. We call this kerning, so that you can adjust the spacing between your characters, between your lines, and between your bullets. I can also select custom bullets. In this case, this particular bullet in the notebook theme is a graphic that we've created. But let's say I've created my own. I can just go over here to custom image and import any kind of bullet type that I'd like. So that's a little bit about using Keynote. There's several features here that I won't have time to cover today, but the inspector has a lot of really high-end functionality packed into one window, so it's really nice. It's a nice way to really enhance your slides. So I'm going to go back into presentation mode by selecting the play button and talk a little bit about Keynote's compatibility. So you can really save a lot of the content that you've created already by including that content in Keynote. You can import Photoshop, Illustrator, PDF, and Macromedia Flash files directly into Keynote, and we really preserve a lot of the inherent native file formats that you've created. So some of the common formats that work well in Keynote are PSD, TIFF, and PNG file formats that were created in Photoshop. You can also bring in Illustrator and PDF files and Flash files. Also talked a little bit about PowerPoint, but this is really important because most of the presentations out there have been in PowerPoint. So you can import those PowerPoint files by selecting File, Open, pulling in your PowerPoint file, and then choosing a theme. So in this case, we've got a nice little before and after shot here of maybe a financial overview slide before and then a financial overview slide using our sandstone theme. Also your spreadsheet data. So if you have any numbers or content in your workbook or your Excel data, you can copy-paste that data directly into Keynote for some updated chart data. In this case, you've got financial overview as a bar chart and your numbers in Excel. And you can pull in QuickTime movies and MP3 audio. So this is a nice way to really enhance your presentations to include movies and sound that can be included on every slide. It's also important to note that you can add builds, as in bringing in movies and audio to help set the pace of your presentation. You can add those builds to movies and audio files as well. Now once your Keynote presentations are done, you can share your presentations with virtually anyone. Keynote slides can be exported to PowerPoint, exported to QuickTime, and play as either a still or interactive movie, and also exported to PDF. This is really important because Keynote presentations could be shared with PC users by exporting to QuickTime, and having those users run Keynote as either a still movie or as an interactive movie where they can control each slide. So that's Keynote. As I mentioned, we've got 12 Apple design themes that can be edited and shared with others. You can also create themes from scratch, as many of our users already have. Amazing typography and graphics, and really good support for Photoshop files. Cinema quality transitions and animations, thanks to OpenGL, Quartz, and other technology included in OS X Jaguar. And alignment guides that allow you to really place all of your slide elements in exactly the right place very easily. And compatibility with PowerPoint, QuickTime, and PDF cross-platform. And it's available today for just $99. So for viewing today's presentation about Keynote, you can earn 250 secret code points for your Apple Sales Training online account. Just enter Sell Keynote as your secret code, and you're set. So happy selling. Thanks for your time today. And if you have any questions about Keynote, please feel free to email me at smariappa, that's SMARIYAPPA, @apple.com.